Today, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why Samson is a simp. What's good? It's your boy Zachary Carroll, aka Pastor Z, and this is Christian Hood Talk, where we help you apply the Bible to all of life's craziness. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Bro, sis, go and hit the subscribe button down below. We're on the road to 500 subscribers and we need your help. Make sure you're sharing these videos, telling all your family and friends about the videos that we're doing here. It would really help out the channel grow and get more people access to how to apply Jesus to everything. Today we're going to talk about more biblical simps. One biblical simp in particular. This man deserves his own video. I know you guys were expecting him to pop up in the last video, but this man is such a prominent figure in the Bible. He deserves special attention. And that's what we're here to do. Today, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why Samson is a simp. Samson was the last judge of the nation of Israel. Judge is basically a prophet / king type figure that is meant to represent God amongst the nation of Israel and to teach them and show them how they should be acting or to protect them from enemies. Samson was the greatest warrior of basically the nation of Israel during that time, and some would argue ever. He was personally responsible for the death of thousands of Philistines. He used the jawbone of animals. He used jackals. He used his own strength. He used some crazy things to defeat his enemies. He was an amazing warrior, a leader, a judge, or at least he was supposed to be. Point number 1, he was controlled by his lusts rather than by God. During this time, the nation of Israel was under the law of Moses. And so in order to be righteous, in order to be saved, you had to fulfill the law of Moses. And one of those laws was that you could not marry someone of a different nation. You could not, Samson should not have married anyone but someone that was of the nation of Israel. However, he went to the enemy territory, the nation of Timnah, and saw this woman, and she was beautiful to the eyes. His parents were telling him that he shouldn't be marrying those foreign women. And in fact, it was a sin back in that time because it went against the law of Moses for Samson to marry a woman that wasn't of the nation of Israel. He married this enemy woman, this woman that was an enemy to his people simply because she looked good, simply because she was right in his eyes. She was pleasing to the eyes. And another occasion, he slept with a prostitute, and sleeping with this prostitute, he put himself in danger of being killed by his enemy. So he allowed the lust of his flesh, he allowed his sexual desire not only to make him walk away from the laws of God, to walk away from God's purpose for him and his entire nation, to walk away from his own family, he allowed his own sexual desire to put himself in danger. Proverbs 25:18 states that a man that cannot control his spirit is like a city with no walls, a city that's been broken into. So fellas, if you are going to be an alpha man, if you are a man worth your salt, if you don't want to be a simp, you cannot allow your sexual desire to control you. You have no protection. You are vulnerable. You are weak. You are gullible when you cannot control your own spirit, when you cannot control your own desire, when you cannot control yourself. You are opening yourself to be vulnerable and to be attacked by everybody. Point number 2, he was controlled by his wife's emotions. So after he married this Timnite woman, he came up with this plot to go against the Philistines by coming up with a riddle. The Philistines used his wife, who was a Philistine, who was an enemy of the nation of Israel, to entice him, to get him to tell her the answer to the riddle so that they could be saved. And at first, He told her, I don't even tell my parents of this riddle. Why would I tell you? But then she started crying. She cried for like 7 days to get him to give her the answer to this riddle for her people. And he eventually gave in and told her the riddle. And he knew that when the Philistines said, hey, we figured out your riddle, dude, you can't do nothing to us. It was like, you only figured it out because you went to my wife. He called her a heifer, by the way. A biblical alpha man should not be controlled, should not give in to his wife's emotions. 1 Peter 3:7 states that a husband should live in an understanding way and treat her as if she is the weaker vessel. But that does not mean you allow her emotions to control you. You allow her emotions to take you off the path of being the leader of the household. Now, don't mistake me. If your wife has a good reason for not going a certain direction, if your wife disagrees with you and gives you sound reasons why, that is not what I'm saying. That's amazing. That's exactly what wives are supposed to do. They're not supposed to agree with everything that you want to do. They can disagree. They just have to have some reasons. She had no reason, and in fact was trying to betray Samson for trying to get that riddle from him. She just cried. If your wife is crying because you don't want to do something that she wants you to do, you don't change. If your wife doesn't want you to do something because she has a good idea, because she has a good reason why your way is wrong and her way is better, then you change. Simply put, a man, a husband, a biblical alpha man does not change direction, does not alter his trajectory or the trajectory of the family because of the emotions of his wife. He should listen to her and understand where she's coming from and then process what the next moves are. And that is what a proper leader would do. Point number 3. Samson put an untrustworthy woman on a pedestal simply because he loved her. We all know the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson had one secret, and that was his locks, his long hair. That was the source of his strength. And so the enemy, the Philistines, used Delilah to get that secret from Samson so that they could defeat him. So I want to key in a couple details that you probably missed. Delilah was never Samson's wife. Delilah is only stated as a woman that Samson fell in love with. And number 2, Delilah never loved Samson. It never says that Delilah loved Samson. It said that he loved her. In fact, Delilah was playing a game to make Samson try to get her to profess her love to him. That is why she kept asking for his secret. And that is why ultimately he gave it to her, because he was so desperate for her validation. He was so desperate for her to validate him and to show her love for him that he was willing to give up the number one thing. Basically, God gives you ultimate power. And there's only one way to get rid of that ultimate power. And you give it up because of some untrustworthy woman that doesn't even like you. Why? Because she looks good? Why? Because you can't control yourself? Fellas, this is complete simp behavior. You cannot be desperate for the validation of a woman. Women are amazing. However, you cannot put the validation of a woman above everything that God has set you up for. If God has set you on a purpose and a path and a plan, if God has given you gifts, He's given you talents, He's given you a purpose, He's given you a life trajectory, you don't give up those things because of a pretty face or a fine body or some beautiful lips. You do not need the validation of anyone but God. Anyone but God. Now, because Samson was desperate for the validation of Delilah, he gave her the secret to his strength, which led to his ultimate downfall. That is the ultimate simp behavior. And we as men cannot allow the validation of women, women that we have crushes on, women that we like, women that we would love to be with. All that is amazing. Women are amazing. But you do not let the validation of women make you change direction in your life, make you change course, make you operate differently. No, women are great. And if a woman likes you, you don't need to work for her validation. She will give it to you. She will show you. So fellas, because Samson was controlled by his sexual desires, controlled by the emotions of his wife, and put on a pedestal a woman that was untrustworthy and didn't love him simply so that she could validate him. Samson is a simp. Thank you for watching that video. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a share. You would be surprised what somebody's going through, and you never know that they just needed to hear this word. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. That's all I got for you. My name is Zachary Carroll, aka Pastor Z. This is Christian Hood Talk. Y'all be cool. I'm sweating. Sweat.